It's day 7 of the Venice Film Festival. We're in the home stretch, baby, and today we're kicking things off with a big one. It's Luca Guadagnino's new one, Queer, starring Daniel Craig, followed up by Harvest. We'll see how that goes. I say that as if I haven't already seen these two films because I'm recording after the fact. But hey, look, I'm nothing if not a tease, baby. I've literally just gone and got myself stuck there. Dead end. But let's go straight in with Queer. I was very excited for this one because I'm a huge Guadagnino fan. He's just delivered challenges this year, one of my favourites of the year, done a video on the channel, self-plug. This was not the film I expected in like the best possible way imagining. I adored this thing. I thought it ripped so hard. It just continually evolved into this super surreal, unexpected, quite sad look at a character who's using, I suppose, sex to fill this kind of void of companionship he's always chasing. There's trippy sequences, drug sequences, there's a lot of really charming and fun humour in there. There's obviously some chunky, hefty sex scenes in there. Guadagnino cooked, and obviously working with Sayembu Muktaprom again, the film looks gorgeous. Really amazing stuff. Like it slapped from start to finish. So Harvest, this was an interesting one. I don't think I've seen this many walkouts at the festival so far, and I can understand where these people are coming from. I don't think anyone I was with liked this film. It is a slow, meandering look at countryside life, I suppose. It's basically a sort of a day in the life of this kind of tiny village, which ends up sort of cannibalizing itself, so to speak. But I liked it. Like, I'm not sure exactly where I land on it. It didn't wow me, and there's a lot of things in there that really kind of bugged me, you know. I think it doesn't really know how to end and wrap things up. It felt like it sort of just kept going, but there's some really meaty, interesting stuff in there for me. I am kind of accustomed at this point to slow films that don't seem to have a point other than that they are just slowly unfolding and unraveling in front of you, but I quite like that vibe, and I think it helps that it's shot really, really well. I think being such a lover of slow cinema and slow films that don't seem to have much of a purpose, I was maybe a little bit more forgiving on it than some of the other folks I saw it with, but listen, strong day for me. What can I say?
There's a new break.
And head back to the flat, catch up with the boys, probably do a bit more work, see where the evening takes us, I think. Here's something that we quickly discovered Venice has lots of. Pigeons. There are many, many pigeons, and they're just hanging out. They're just, I don't know if you can see that off camera. He's coming towards me. He's coming to say what's up. He's asking, what film do you think should get the Golden Lion at Venice this year, Stu? Brutalist, mate. The Brutalist. He's actually getting quite close. I'm terrified. Right, we are off to adventure and find some pasta. If we get lost and die, this is our last will and testament.
Dying for pasta is not the most exciting death, but here we are.
I'd argue it is the most exciting. It's the way I want to go, to be honest.
Pasta go, more like pasta gonna get sued by Chipotle. Look at that.
I don't know what the plan is with the rest of the day today. We were going to go out and see a French film in the evening, but I'll be honest. A, I'm feeling pretty exhausted at the moment. B, I've got a bunch of work I need to do. And C, I want an early night before Joker tomorrow morning, you know? Like, I don't want to ruin my day by getting up too early for a film that might potentially suck. So, yeah, early night I think it is tonight.
It is the final day of the Venice Film Festival, which is, to be honest, that's kind of nuts. It's gone way too quickly, but we are up 5:30 alarm this morning. The earliest wake up yet for Joker 2, which is a film I don't even think is going to be good.
I've never seen you with your hair down.
So, we'll see how this one goes, eh?
I woke up very early this morning to try and get some nice sunrise dawn shots, and the weather just bailed on me. I don't know what I'm gonna do now. 7:30 in the morning right now. To be honest, I'm just hungry. A boy's gotta eat. I'm gonna go eat something and hopefully not get mauled by seagulls.
So Joker, I feel like we need a bit of backstory here. First one, I liked enough. I mean, it was obviously an incredibly derivative film
that was really doing nothing of its own. Wasn't very excited for Joker 2 or Folie or Deux. I'm not calling that anymore. It's Joker 2, silly title. But I was cautiously, I suppose, optimistic, willing to see what might happen if Todd Philips were to do a bit more of a unique take, something of his own. I regret putting those thoughts out into the world, because actually what we ended up getting with a film by Todd Philips starring Joaquin Phoenix's Joker that wasn't just riffing on Taxi Driver and King of Comedy was essentially just nothing. Like the most pointless film I've seen this year. Truly terrible, terrible stuff. I think it's a sort of film which a lot of people are going to describe as taking big swings. I say in quotation marks because they're not really big swings. You've just added song on top of smudged clown makeup and said, look, does that make it any deeper? It doesn't make it any deeper. It's a film that says nothing, tries to do this kind of reflection on itself with the first one, but actually ends up just sort of floating through a completely obnoxious, eye-rolling time. But next up I watched Diva Futura, which is another one of the festival watches that's completely blind for me. Knew nothing about it going in at all, and it really surprised me with what it was about first and foremost, but also with the way it was telling its story, right? Essentially, it is a kind of Italian comedy drama charting the origins of porn in Italy, the original porn industry as it was created by Diva Futura, a production company in Italy in the 80s. And I was kind of indifferent on it for a large chunk of its first act. I wasn't sure it was gonna really click with the stuff it's trying to tell and the stuff it's trying to say about the porn industry, so to speak. But actually I ended up being really surprised with where it starts to go and the way that it A, weaves and juggles all of its different characters, but B, ended up actually mining some quite moving and poignant stuff out of its characters. It ends up giving a lot more agency to people in the film in the latter half than it does in the first half, and I think that ends up creating a really rewarding is the wrong word, but I suppose satisfying experience when it comes to characters. All of them feel sufficiently fleshed out, and by the end of it I think it had kind of won me over a bit. But then after that I came back to the Airbnb as usual. I had a little bit of chunk of the day, was going to do a bit of work. I'll be honest, ended up napping. I had 2 naps, but a 5:30 AM wake up for a Todd Philips Joker film, it does that to a person. I don't know what to say there, my guys.
Okay, short break, but we've got an annoyingly timed screening this evening, April 7:30, but we're gonna get a boat over there, so I'm gonna get some early food and go for the last time, I think, sadly, of the trip, to my favourite pizza place. In that weird, you know, like after you've napped and it hasn't quite hit the spot, but it also has kind of charged your battery like half. I'm in a weird hazy, like where am I? Nothing a good pizza cannot solve. Alright, off to our next. I think I've just picked the worst time to try and record this video. Loud music. Okay, so I'm off to the final film screening of Venice for me, which is quite sad, to be honest. It's April, don't know much about it. On the iPhone because I didn't want to bring old dad come over to the Lido, so deal with it, you know. No idea what to expect from this one. Going in completely blind again. We will see how it goes.
But I quickly jumped back on a boat over to the Lido for the final film of the festival, which was April. I have been waiting the entire festival for a true piece of slow cinema. I love slow cinema, and I think I love it particularly during festival season because it forces you to adjust your watching experience, right? It forces you to come to its level, really slow down, and just absorb everything that it's doing on screen. And April was exactly what I wanted from a slow cinema film at the festival. It's not going to be for everyone. It's definitely an acquired taste at this point. The walkouts alone tell me that, because a few people clearly were not vibing with this one. But for me, I just found it entirely hypnotizing and transfixing, right? Obviously, it's slow. I mean, there's almost no point talking about slow when you're talking about slow cinema, right? It comes part and parcel with it. If you're not into it, you're not into it. But for me, it kept me hooked the entire time. And I love films that make you aware of their pacing and their runtime without losing you. I think that's a very interesting talent to have as a filmmaker. And here, it lends itself really well to this story of an abortion doctor. The story isn't, particularly all over the place. It doesn't have a huge amount of wild new things to say. It keeps it relatively simple in that sense, but I think that's where the slow cinema side of things really helps it kind of iron out its themes and its motives. And I was really, really absorbed. By the end of it, I found this thing to be an incredibly complex quite moving and sad and dark kind of look at this character, look at this abortion nurse who is sort of tied between, you know, the requirements of the hospital and then the requirements of the women in the village who are having terrible things done to them. I think it's a really interesting exploration of that idea of, if not me, then whom? And it uses that in a really abstract way at points as well, that kind of butts its way into the film. I just think it was really, really good. And actually, the more I've thought about it, sleeping on it, the more it really has stood with me as one of the stronger kind of pieces of the festival. But listen, that is me done for the Venice Film Festival 2024. Kind of sad. That went much quicker than I'd have liked it to have gone.
Honey, I'm home.
I've really loved meeting loads of new people at the festival and just spending time with great friends, watching great films. It's what it's all about at the end of the day, and I would not have had half the time I had if I hadn't been accompanied by some truly wonderful, wonderful human beings. It has been so good. I'd say as a festival, it's interesting. You ask a lot of different people and they'll say very different things. And a lot of people have been saying that this has felt like a weird, weak year for films when it comes to the festival circuit, and that Venice hasn't had any bangers. For me, it has been as well-rounded festival experience as I could ever ask for, right? I did not expect to have 3 films from Venice go into my worst of the year list. But similarly, we've added a couple to my best of the year list, and there's been a whole load of in-betweens. It's been a really, truly well-rounded festival for me, and I've loved that. I think, listen, it would be great if we went to a festival and everything we saw was always amazing and incredible and we loved it, but that's just not the case with cinema. There's so many different things going on for different people and different tastes, so all you can ask for is an experience and a festival that gives you a bit of everything, a little bit of different perspectives and tastes and whatever. And honestly, it smashed it this year for me. I've had such a good experience. And I hope you've enjoyed these videos. You know, they've been fun to create. I've been editing a little bit as I go along, but mostly I've waited until I've done them all to edit them. And that has meant that it's been a papier-mâché mix-mashing of shots and ideas as I go along without knowing exactly how they're going to come together. But I've really loved doing that. I think it's a really fun way to do a festival. And I've much more appreciated doing that than trying to do a full review and a full video for everything I see. Other people are better at doing that.
Turn real left, it's on its ear. If the dead just go on living, well, there's nothing left to fear. Do, do.